Namaste yogis, let's start in thunderbolt pose. Curling your toes back behind you so that you feel the stretch on the plantar fascia, the undersides of the feet. You can turn your palms to face up on your thighs and then just find a nice tall spine, an erect head. Align the chin to the earth and then let's take 10 breaths here. Inhaling 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 'Excellent. Come on, hands and knees, untucking the toes. And then just for fun, lift the knees up off the ground, but don't tuck the toes. Let's take 5 breaths here. 5. Press away from the ground, spread the shoulder blades apart. 4. You might take the shoulders slightly out in front of the fingertips. 3. Keep hugging the side ribs in. 2. 1 last. And then if it's okay for you, just roll the toes into your downward facing dog. If not, 1 foot at a time is perfect. Downward facing dog. Just to make sure that we've got this measured out correctly, breathe forward to plank pose. Adjust as needed, and then with the intention of not moving the hands and feet, press back to downward facing dog. So 10 breaths here. Thumbs are about 2 fist distance apart. Big toes are about 2 fist distance apart. I'm pushing into the fingerprints, knuckle pads, dialing my elbows down, allowing the arms to plug into the shoulder sockets. Treating this like a good morning stretch, creating length through the side body all the way down to the hips. Hips rooting to the back of the mat. Tailbone tucking up to the sky. You can feel free to put a micro bend in the knees, but by all means, ground your heels towards the earth. See if you can deepen the fold at the hips, bringing the belly a little closer to the thighs, and allow the head to drop. So we'll breathe here. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Last one. On your next exhale, start to walk your way to the front of the mat. Keep your feet parallel, and when you get there, just ragdoll over your legs. Give yourself a couple bounces up and down. A couple sways side to side, but try to keep the feet anchored into the earth. Create a long exhale out through the mouth. Drag the belly down the thighs. And then release the hands down to the earth. Tented fingers. Draw the forehead towards the knees. Hollow out the belly with an exhale. And then just nice easy breath to come all the way up to stand. Rounding the back as you stack all 24 bones of the back. Cool. Find a Samastitihi mountain pose. Hands can remain by your sides. On an inhale, sweep the arms up and over your head. Press palms, gaze to thumbs. Exhale, thumbs can pass the third eye as you dive down, forward fold over the legs, lining up fingertips and toes, and then drawing your face towards the shins. Inhale, halfway lengthen and lift, framing the toes with the fingers. Exhale, plant the hands, stepping back to plank pose. Take a breath in plank, lower forward to descend into chaturanga. Roll over the toes or flip the feet one at a time, upward facing dog. And then downward facing dog, hips drawing back. Let's breathe here for 5, 4, 3. Every time deepening a deeper stretch. Last one. Rise to tippy toes. Bend the knees. Look towards the hands. Bottom of the breath. Step or hop forward to parallel feet. Take a halfway lift up. Back of the neck stays long. Exhale. Melt the face down towards the shins. Inhale. Sweep the arms up and over your head. Exhale. Hands down to heart center. Down by your side. Samastitihi. Round 2. Inhale. Sweep the arms up. Exhale. Diving it down. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Hands down, stepping back to plank, lower, push up. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Inhale, tippy toes, look forward, bend the knees, pull back. Bottom of the breath, step forward. Halfway lift when you arrive. Exhale, release it down, forward fold. Inhale, arms to the sky, reaching up. Exhale, hands past the third eye, down to your heart. One more Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, diving down. Halfway lift, lengthen. And again, either stepping or hopping, chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And again, a breath of 5. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Inhale, tippy toes, bend the knees. Pull back, breathe everything out, and then take a step or a hop to the front of the mat. Halfway lift on arrival. Exhale, release it back down. Inhale, arms to the sky. And then exhale, hands down to your heart. Step your feet hips width apart, hands on the hips. Breathe into a powerful chest expansion through. And then exhale, hinging forward at the hips. Reach down, grab onto your yogi toe lock. Peace fingers and thumb around the big toe. Press into the tripods of the feet, grounding. And then bow the head in between the legs. Elbows pointing off to the sides of the mat. Keep the shoulders drawing away from the ears. 5 breaths here. 5. 4. Every exhale is a hollowing out and a dragging down of the upper body. Last 2. Last 1. Beautiful. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Hands down, step back to down dog. And then let's start our asymmetrical flow. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, step the foot just inside of your right thumb. Back heel down to 45 degrees. Squaring the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Warrior 1. Ground into the legs. Send the front shin forward. Press strongly through the pinky side of your back foot. Sweep your hands behind the back, right thumb on top as you interlace the fingers, pulling the knuckles down, opening the throat. Exhale, diving in, humble warrior. Keep that scissoring action of the hips. Shoulder can tuck inside of that right thigh. Crown of the head melting down towards the ground, and then sending your pinky fingers high up and over your head. Let's breathe here. 5. 4. 3. Don't lose the energy of the inner back thigh. Last two. Last one. Slowly frame your front foot with both of your hands. Step your back foot about 12 inches forward. Straighten through the front leg. Hollow out the belly to fold the belly onto the thigh. Forehead towards the knee. We'll take 5 breaths here in pyramid pose, breathing for 5. Feel the weight even in the sole of the front foot. 4. Keep scissoring the right hip back. 3. 2. And 1. Rebend the front knee, step the back foot back again. Crawl your way over to the side of the mat for a wide forward fold. So just like we did a few moments ago at the front of the mat, you're going to yogi toe lock the toes, look to the ground underneath you, stick your booty high. You might bend your knees a little bit to get the booty tail feather way up into the air, and then yearn your chest down towards the ground. So I'm looking at the ground and pulling my heart down. From there, I'll straighten through the legs, and from there, I'll drop the head, shining the crown of my head towards the earth. Elbows are pointing to the ceiling. And although I am using the arms to help my forward fold, I don't want to lose the engagement of the core. Let's breathe here. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Release. Inhale, halfway, lengthen up. Exhale, crawl your way to the front of the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Roll the toes or flip your feet one at a time. Upward facing dog. Exhaling back, downward facing dog. Second side, left leg floats way high. Squeeze the knee, step the foot in between the hands. Anchor the back heel down 45 degrees. Heels or hips width apart. Scissor the legs, take the arms up. Virabhadrasana 1. Energy up through the fingertips. Pressing through that pinky side of the back foot. Pressing the front shin forward. Interlaced fingers, left thumb on top. Pull down. Puff out the chest, open the throat, and then diving in. Humble warrior for 5 breaths. Inhale. So keep tucking the left hip back. Keep the lift in the inner back thigh. Pull the knuckles a little higher up and over the head. Crown of the head shining towards the earth. One last time. Slowly frame your front foot with both of your hands. Step your back foot 12 inches forward. Heels remain hips width apart. Pull the belly in and inhale. That's kind of counterintuitive. And then melt the belly onto the thigh. Bring your forehead towards the knee. 5 breaths, pyramid pose. Inhale 1. Hear the exhale. 3. 4. Last one. Low lunge, step the back foot back. Crawl your hands over to the right side of your mat. Into your wide forward fold. Make sure your feet are at least parallel. Bonus if your toes are a little closer to one another than the heels. Turn your fingertips to face the opposite direction of your toes and walk your hands way in between the legs. You might even rock the weight into the heels a little bit to get an extra handprint out of the hands. From there, melt the crown of your head down towards the earth. Ground through the feet. Firm the thighs. Deepen into the hip creases. We'll breathe here for 5. 4. 3. 2. Push the ground away. Last one. Release the hands back underneath the shoulders. Take a halfway lift up. Crawl your way back to the front of the mat, and then step back to downward facing dog. Inhale, breathing forward, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Come forward to plank pose, lower onto hands and knees. Have a seat. Facing the front of your mat is perfect. Soles of the feet together. Knees wide, pull the heels in towards the groin. And then take your hands back behind you, pressing into the pinky sides of the feet. See if you can scoot your hips forward a little bit. Interlace the fingers, bring them underneath the pinky toes. Pull away from the legs to puff out the chest and lengthen through the spine. And then with your exhale, melt the heart forward, keep the throat open. Just go as far as you can is perfect. And it doesn't matter if you round the spine a bit, as long as every time you breathe into the spine, you try to create as much distance from the top of your head to the tailbone. So the inhale, it's like I'm lengthening my head away from the hips. And then bow in as low as you want to go. Let's take 5 breaths here. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. Come on up. Right leg long out in front of you. Sole of the left foot onto the inner right thigh. Sit up tall, rooting into both sit bones. Make sure that this extended leg is steering so the knee and the toes are pointing directly up to the sky. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, I'm gonna crisscross my hands to the opposite sides of the feet. Then I open up the elbows and thread the needle, my forehead, right in on top of the knee. I'm gonna breathe in, see if I can move my nose onto my knee. Exhale out, 5. And then I'm gonna inhale and see if I can bring my chin onto my knee. And exhale out, 4. And then continue with this, 3, 2, last one. Take your time to come up. Switch legs, left leg goes long. Right sole of the foot onto the inner left thigh. Again, feeling the toes and the knee of that left leg dialing out, really firming the thigh. Breathing the arms up, and once again, I'm gonna crisscross the arms, this time opposite arm on top. Open the elbows out, and bow the head in. First it's my forehead, and then I'll breathe in. And then I'll slide my nose towards the knee. Breathing in. Then chin on the knee. Last 3. 2. Last one. Excellent. Take your time to come up. Cool. Bring your feet together. Hook the hands onto the inner thighs. Widen out the heels to the front and back of the mat. Make sure that your heels are on something that won't slip. And then taking your hands back behind you, you scoot your hips forward. Cool. Make sure the toes are peeling back towards the knees. And then I'm going to take my hands out in front of me. I'll push away from the ground and try to stick out my chest. I'll breathe in. And then with my exhale, I will take the hands a little or a lot forward, breathing in. Exhaling out. We're going to take 8 more breaths. Explore with creating space. 7. 6. 5. You can always back up. And then try to go back in. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Take your time, slowly walking the hands back up underneath you. Close your legs up out in front of you. This time we're going to take both legs together in Paschimottanasana. So big toe mounts touching, heels slightly apart. Once again, firm thighs rooted into the earth. Reach the arms up, try to pull the torso out of the hips, rooting into the sit bones. And then exhale to reach forward, grabbing hold of the outsides of the feet. Trying to keep the crease behind my toes nice and parallel. I'll breathe in, I'll look at my big toes. And then I'll exhale, I'll try to melt my forehead towards my knees. Inhale, looking towards my big toes. Yearning the heart to the front. And then exhale, melting down. 8 breaths, inhale. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Come up. Take the legs to bent knees, soles of the feet down, rolling down onto your back. Cool. Squeeze the knees into the chest. Circle around a little bit on the tailbone. Just create a little massage in the lower back, in the sacrum itself. And then we're going to take one more forward fold, which is plow pose. So taking my hands by my sides, I'll lift my hips up, use an exhale. Maybe the knees come onto the forehead, or if it's available to you, take your toes all the way up and over your head. And then if you find that your chin is driven into the chest, try to pull it away from the chest. See if you can walk your feet a little closer to the wall behind you. And then the hands can stay either on the earth, or maybe you want to support the hands onto the lower back. Yogi's choice. We're going to take 10 breaths here. It's not much of an inhale, but it's a very long exhale. 9. 8. We're just building space in the back of the neck. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Last one. Take your time, break the knees, not literally, and then lowering onto your back, one vertebra at a time. Tailbone releases down. Keep the knees bent, and then plant your feet. Cool. We're going to take one extension through the hips. So lifting your hips up, this is just a nice counterpose to all this forward folding that we were doing. And we're only going to breathe here 5 breaths. Make sure the tripods are rooted for 5. Little hug of the inner thighs to make sure that your knees are not collapsing open. 4. See if you can get a little more height out of the hips. Nothing to pain. Driving the pinky fingers into the ground. 1 more breath. And then releasing your hands, releasing down. Squeeze the knees in. Drop the knees over to the right. Stack knees, stack hips. Look over to the left. Easy twist. Looking over your opposite shoulder that the knees are pointing. Breathe for 5 exhales. So here's exhale 1. Exhale 2. Exhale 3. 2. And 1. Take your knees back to center. Give them a squeeze. Drop them over to the other side. Draw your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. Try to relax the shoulders towards the earth. Breathing out 5. Slow inhale. 4. Breathe in. 3. Inhale. 2. Last one. Excellent. Draw your knees back in. Hook the hands behind the creases of the knees. Be gentle as you rock yourself up to a seat. Simple Sukhasana, cross-legged position. You can let your hands rest on your thighs. And we'll close with 3 rounds of our Om Pavitra mantra. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Vastam Gato Piva Yasmarit Pundarikaksham Sahabhya Bhyanentara Suchi. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Vastam Gato Piva Yasmarit Pundarikaksham Sahabhya Bhyanentara Suchi. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Vastam Gato Piva Yasmarit Pundarikaksham Sahabhya Bhyanentara Suchi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. Make sure you give time for your Shavasana as long as you like to just rest into the space that you have created. Namaste.